Hey guys, what's going on? It's Don here from Novaspirit Tech and welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to be checking out the Pi 52 mini tower case for the Raspberry Pi. So let's get started. Now I do want to thank 52pi for sending this over to me, or GeekPi. I actually call them either or because they're the same company. But yes, this is an upgraded version to the previous version that we actually reviewed before, which is the NAS Tower Case. Now they made many improvements on this whole setup. They made it easier to install and detachable components for the front screen and the bottom plate, so you could actually slide in the Raspberry Pi much easier than it was before. Most notably, this is molded in ABS and not printed like on a 3D printer, so that's a huge change on this. Now they also upgraded the screen itself and added a RGB fan that you can actually control. So one of the things why I'm building a second Pi hosted server is because this will be dedicated for transcoding video. So I have a lot of footages from doing YouTube over the years that takes up terabytes of storages. And I want to be able to convert this guy and run a Docker that will actually run the GPU and the CPU to actually transcode all the archive videos that I have from before and save as much space as I can, because I will want to keep all the footages. I just don't need them to be as large as it will, because there's actually a lot of footages that I probably won't be using, but I still want to keep them as archive. So that's the main purpose of this build for this second Raspberry Pi hosted server. Now also, a user on my Discord called Mackley put together two containers that will actually control the front screen and also the RGB through a web browser. So you don't actually have to log in or SSH into this guy anytime you want to change something. Not only that, he has upgraded the screen and added icons and more information than what originally comes with the 52pi script. So I give him a lot of props for that, because that's what we're going to be running on this Docker and two of his containers just to get this up and running with the LEDs and everything. Now, one thing to note, you can also boot from the SSD, so you actually don't need an SD card. All you need is M.2 and you should be good to go. Now, what comes with this guy is the two side panels, a bunch of screws, 3 heating pads, the actual cooler, ice tower cooler itself, the SSD expansion card, and the USB that goes along with it. So I'm going to show you guys a video that I was putting it together, which wasn't hard at all. I think it took me about like 7 or 8 minutes, so it was much easier than what it was before. Okay, as far as the assembly process goes, it's pretty straightforward. What I do like is that you can now remove these trays. Like right here is this tray to the front screen, so you no longer have to actually like try to stick it on. You could just clip it in together and then slap it into the front. Same goes for the bottom. The bottom actually has a tray, so you could actually install this whole thing outside of the case and install it back into the case later. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Right over here, I'm going to remove the 4 screws, kind of just put everything onto the tray. The installation process compared to the old one is much easier. Like the other one was more towards sticking on everything, try to make sure everything fits, and then you have to like maneuver back and forth just to get everything right, which worked for that time, but now they like massively improved the process with this whole thing. So this is the tray, and I do have my M.2 already installed, so I'm just gonna slap this on here, right? That's how everything would go. But first, what you need to do is install the heatsink and take one of these heatsink pads. They actually give you 3, which you only really need to have as 1. But you do need the heatsink pad no matter what, the thermal pad. It's because that's the heatsink that they give you actually has that pre-fitted gap. So right now I'm just putting on this as kind of clean as possible. It's not bad, it's on there. Take this off. Now we could install the heatsink. Now I'm gonna want this to face towards me, just because that's how the side of the case will look. I want it this way as well. And then I have to install these brass fittings on the bottom of this. So I'm gonna just hold on to this, install the brass fitting, screw it in, and since it's not like a crazy CPU, I don't care what kind of, like I just need to put it in. I don't need to like worry about counter syncing anything or putting it the wrong way. Once you have all the 4 brass fittings in, so here comes the hard part. You actually have these pins that's spring loaded, that's got to touch the 2 GPIOs on the bottom. You kind of need to line them up very carefully and make sure it like sits in and springs inward. Then you can apply this underneath. So this I gotta make sure it's going the right way because I could install this backwards. Okay, so this is the front where the actual USBs need to go. So there's like a little lip here, and this one has like this anchor. So we're gonna have to like kind of line this all up in place, make sure those spring loads are good before you button up everything. So it's a little hard to do it on camera far away, so I'm just gonna install this, show you guys what I'm talking about. All right, so there we have it. The tray is installed. There are 4 holes underneath this where you could just drop the screws in to assemble this part, and then the pins are in place, so you could see that. It's actually wasn't as hard. As long as you have like a good angle, you could just plug everything in. Now that everything's all buttoned up, we can now slide this back into the tray, and that is it. You've installed this part, tighten everything up over here. And what I do like is that there's actually cable management now for the screen itself. Let me see if I can slide this off and show you. There's like cable management right up the side over here. So let me finish buttoning this up now, plug everything up and show you the end results. Now you might have noticed, again, I did not put in an SD card or do anything to get this guy boot ready, because Raspberry Pi now has that bootable firmware where I could actually just download the operating system, and that's what I'm using. As soon as you boot this guy up, just hold down the shift button and you'll go into the Raspberry Pi imager, download the operating system that you want. In this case, I'm going to be using Debian 64-bit or the Pi OS 64-bit. Once you load that up, it does boot directly right off the M.2. So now we're going to jump over to the desktop to set up the rest of the stuff, which is Docker, Portainer, and the containers we need to get everything operating. Now that everything's all hooked up, I do have to install my Pi hosted on there. So what I'm going to do first is actually get SSH access, which we installed during the time of the Raspberry Pi imager. So I'm going to do SSH Pi at, actually, let me see if I could do Docker Tower. I think I called it. Yes, there you go. And there we have it. I'm logged into the box itself right now. And what I need to do is just follow these steps. Now, just to double check, I do have 112 gigabytes in there, which is the SSD that I'm using right now, 120 gigabytes max. And all I have to do now is just copy and paste these commands. This is coming straight from, oops, my website. So it's pihosted.com. You could just copy the commands. I don't have any subfolders. I'm going to install it right into my home folder. Now this takes a few minutes. After we install this, we do need to install the Portainer and then add our new template in there. Now the template does have everything we need to get the front screen working and also the RGB. So right now you're not going to see anything until that gets installed. Now, once this is done, we don't have to worry about this step because I am using Bullseye and we no longer need it, but for older versions you do. After the Docker install, I am going to do a quick reboot and then run the Portainer. Oops. I'm back at my Workbench computer, which is this computer right here. The reboot's quick because I'm on SSD. So before I even finish that, I'm just going to grab this and let's see if it comes back yet. Not yet, but it seems like it is booting. I am looking at it right now. It's flashing with all its glory. There we go. Yeah, it's pretty quick, like maybe under 30 seconds. So now I just have to paste the next command, which is install Portainer. The new Portainer is pretty cool because now we actually added our logo on there. So if you install it through my script, you'll actually see the Pi hosted logo, which is pretty impressive. I actually really like that. Now, because I know what the IP is, well, I don't really need to. Is it HTTP or HTTPS? Docker Tower, and it's 9,000. There we have it. And I've got to make my password, create user, uncheck this. I mean, you can. And then you could actually restore everything from my other Portainer. But like I said in the beginning of the video, this is meant to be a completely separate Docker or Raspberry Pi hosted server because I'm planning to use this for transcoding. So I'm not going to back up or restore anything from my previous state, even though it will be really cool if I migrated everything over. I just want this to be dedicated just for that because it is going to be using the GPU and the CPU a lot. That's why I also have that tower fan on. Now, because we are here, I have to go into settings and the app template is right over here. I'm just going to grab the version that I'm using, which is the 64. And I'm just going to copy this link, take that, and then pop it over here and paste that. So now save settings. If I go back to my home, hit my local portainer, my Pi hosted, go into app templates, it should load the new list. There we have it. Okay, so before we install the Pixel server, there is a config file that we do need to create, and we do have the tools for it. So if you head over to my Novaspirit GitHub, you can head over to, where is that, tools, and you're gonna see a little script here saying Pixel server. That's what we need to grab. So what I'm gonna do is just take this, go to raw, grab that, I'm gonna copy that, and then go to wget, slap that on, and now I have a little pixel server.sh. I can chmod it just to make it so it's executable, and then install Pixel server. So what it does is actually enables the SPI and I2C communication both for the screen and for the fan itself. It creates the directories that it needs for the config files for the Pixel server, and then copies the original config files over. So once this is all done, we can now install the actual containers. So I'm going to go over to app template, and the easiest way is actually just to type in Macly. So Macly right here, it'll show you two of the OLED and the Pixel server. So I'm going to install the system server first, which I don't think it matters in any order. Just deploy this container, and there we have it. And then if I go over to app template again, I am going to deploy the Pixel server, and I'm going to deploy this. And there we have it. Everything is all set up. The front screen is working now, and I have all the stats that I need, like originally that it would come with on the 52pi version. But this time what he modified is he added icons, so it just makes it look a lot flashier. Now I'm going to head over to this IP over here. So I'm going to, the port. So I'm going to go over here and do port 85. And now I actually could log into the Pixel server. Okay, I do have to run a script according to Macly's Pixel server, and I completely forgot that I had to do this. So I'm just gonna copy it from his GitHub, which is this command over here. Go back and change the password to Raspberry, which is very common to use it for Raspberry Pi. And the username, I'm just gonna be admin. So admin Raspberry Pi, and then this will actually push it to a config file over to the Pixel server. Now I'm just going to do a docker restart Pixel server. But once that restarts and gets everything up and running, I should be able to log in. So now it doesn't ask me for that prompt anymore. So admin Raspberry. And now I actually have my whole entire thing that I could change colors to. So if I wanted something like green, and now the LED is green. If I wanted to do other things like rainbow theater, I could just do this and it'll just flash through different colors. Maybe if I wanted to be all on and orange. Well, you know what? Just orange. Apply, now it's all orange. I really like it. Now I could just play around with the color. If I don't want any, I could just do all off. It'll turn off all the colors, and that is it. I got my front panel, my LEDs working, and now I have a full Pi hosted server just for my other needs. And that is it. Anyway, that is it, guys. I really did love playing with this. This is so much easier to use. I do also want to thank Macly for putting together the script so we could get everything working. I also got to say, this looks really good for a Pi hosted server. And if you really needed more storage, you could actually just swap out the M.2 to like a 1 or 2 terabyte, and then you could use that for a NAS. But most notably, I am just going to be using this as a Docker container because I need the airflow, keeping it cool for transcoding videos. If you have any questions, hit it down in the comments below, or join our Discord because he's actually there too if you want to chit chat with him to make some modifications to a front LCD. Now, if you guys are new to this channel, consider subscribing and also hit that bell notification icon so you know when the next video is going to be out. And as I say in my nerd cave, hack till it hurts.